The time I messed up by buying a 23andMe kit assuming my history is boring. My time I messed up actually started 3 days ago, but background first. My dad was 56 and my mom was 46 when me and my twin sister were born. My dad died in 2007 when my twin sister and I were 12. He had been a heavy drinker and smoker since he was 10, passing at 69 following decades of very poor health, so it was mostly a relief when he died. My mom and dad were married since 1973 and tried for many years to have children until they had my sister and I in 1994. My mom only has us, but my dad had a son from a prior marriage who is about 30 years older than us, who I've met several times, but we aren't close due to the age difference. He also had 2 daughters from another prior marriage that I had never met. I only know they live in California and first names. They also did not speak to my dad and didn't attend his funeral. As I've gotten older and had kids of my own, I became more curious about my dad's family. I asked my mom to no avail. She said she had no idea about why the girls didn't speak to my dad. She said she also didn't know how to contact them. I ordered a 23andMe kit to hopefully find my half-sisters and get some answers. Also, the idea of possibly being 1% black or Asian would have been cool. I'm white as can be. So I ordered the kit and 3 weeks later get my results. Unfortunately, I am not any shocking ethnicity. 61.2% British actually, along with 20.7% French/German and other European makeup. What is surprising though is that I found 4 half-sisters. 2 more than I thought. My dad was not a picture of moralism, so it doesn't surprise me he had some unclaimed kids running around. So, excitedly, I clicked to see the names. Oddly, none of the names match my half-sisters I'm looking for. This means I have 6 half-sisters. Wow, dad was passed around, but this is still exciting. My twin and I immediately messaged them on the site. The first to reply we'll call Mary. She says she was born via IVF in 1992 in North Carolina. Mary also said the donor was a med student. Well, my mom is adamant my dad didn't donate to sperm banks and that he didn't live in the state she's from. So I'm thinking poor Mary doesn't know her mom is lying to her about an affair she had with my dad. I felt terrible for my mom, as well as this would definitely mean he cheated on my mom. Like I said, my dad was scummy. I just tell Mary that our father was actually in construction his whole life, so he or the agency was lying about med school. He dropped out in 7th grade. I sent her some pictures of my dad and my twin and I from childhood. We laugh about how much we look alike and say we could even be triplets. Later that evening, I get another message from another half-sister we'll call Tiffany. Tiffany says she was also conceived via IVF in 1993 in Pennsylvania. All she knows is her dad has blonde hair and green eyes and was a med student. I'm honestly so happy to see another IVF because this confirms my dad did use sperm banks and just didn't tell my mom. Which was awful, but better than an affair. I send Tiffany pictures of my dad and tell her about him, and that's it. Then comes last night. I'm shopping at IKEA with my friends, relaying this soap opera story to them. I'm telling them my theory about these sperm banks lying to their customers to get better prices. Telling people they're getting a blonde hair green-eyed med student when in reality they're getting a brown hair brown-eyed sheetrock worker. It's at this moment my friend Miranda said, you and your twin have blonde hair and green eyes. What if your dad isn't your dad and your mom also used IVF? At first I laughingly entertained the idea that it would make sense for my mom to need IVF because that makes way more sense than suddenly becoming pregnant at 46 and 56. I quickly realized, holy crap, that actually does make sense. Then came the obvious thought to probably everyone but me: how could a 55-year-old alcoholic chain smoker pass for a med student? It would have been 25 years since he could believably look under 35. Unless they somehow had his sperm in storage for 30 years before using it. And the sperm banks in different states use the same lie about med school. It didn't seem likely. I also have type 1 diabetes and have no family history at all. Every doctor I've had tells me how unlucky I am because it is usually in the family tree and my chances of getting it were very low. I'm currently looking at my half-brother's pictures and he looks just like my dad but nothing like my sister, and I not even close. My mom has had a migraine throwing up the past 2 days since discussing this, but I assumed it was a coincidence. Now I'm thinking nerves. I'm going to talk to my mom today, and if I get the answer I think I will, I'm going to message my new half-sisters apologizing for showing them their dad because he's actually none of our dads. Pretty sweet. My dad might be a doctor and not a raging alcoholic though, so that's cool.